everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations Along the Way podcast.
Hi, welcome everyone as well. Zarina, today I'm going to get straight into it. We have got to mention something about love today. So I was thinking the area that we should actually delve into it, where love is the center of everything, I think, is relationships. And I know that we both have so many things to discuss about relationship because it's affecting us. I mean, as human beings, relationship is important, isn't it? As well, I wanted to discuss as well, Zarina, what is love? What is the meaning of love? And do we have that meaning right? Do we understand what it means? So I think we can start with that. What is love? What do you think, Zarina?
There are different types of loves. I mean, some people say it should only be the agape love, like in Christianity and all of that. But I think the reality is, it's like my mum used to say, either you love the person or you hate them. There's no in between. And I'm thinking, yeah, there is in between. There are some people you like, some people you feel neutral about, others you don't like, and some people you hate. For example, if they've hurt you or done something extreme, some maybe violent, then the person you
but
hate.
You just mentioned there hate, but we're talking about love.
Yeah, but it's on the spectrum. So then when you love, you have the people you like, you neutral, you like, and then you love, like you love your mother or your husband if you're close to him. Yeah.
Good.
That's yeah, and like siblings and children, and then they're all different, varying degrees, even though people don't agree that that should be true. And I think that's just reality.
I tell you, Zarina, thanks for that. But I think from what you've just said there, I want to give a definition of love. And I'm going straight to scriptures because I think it's a good definition. Not because I'm a Christian, but I think it's good. So one of the scriptures says about love, love is patient. Love is kind. I'm just going to read a few of it. Love does not envy. It does not boast. It does not seek to be proud or to dishonor people. And it's more translation on that. So I think that's a really good definition of what love is. Based on what I've just said, Zarina, it is kind, it's patient, it doesn't envy people, it's not proud. What do you think of that? Those definitions from the scripture,
the reality
the Bible?
is, I mean, amongst people, when you're dealing with people, and the truth is, the majority of the people, even if they're family, friends, or people you just know or study with, the reality is many of them don't actually go out their way to hate you, but when they're interacting with you, I don't know if it's to do with lack of awareness or just unkindness. Well, then they've got their own issues, haven't they? They're impatient and they're unkind, say hard words to you about your own thoughts and feelings, like as if they dismiss your thoughts and feelings or your point of view. I think that's what it boils down to, dismissive of others' points of view and fighting it, and being like that. In other words, like the person is to change their stance in order to fit in or go with the flow. And I'm saying, well, to me, that's unkind.
But that's not love, as you said. That is not love. That's it. The whole point is it love? That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, no, it's not love. It's I think it's a form of having their way dominating over you. I'm trying to think of the word. In other words, you're forcing your way over someone else and then carry on like as if you be friendly, go along with the flow. And I'm thinking, I'm not pretending to have no friend.
So, Zarina, do you think people don't understand what love really is and what love looks like? I believe that could be a big problem. That's why people are so unkind.
I mean, they're not thinking about it in terms of love, hate, or love, or what. They're thinking about it in terms of interaction. For example, that person said that, or they believe that, or they feel that. Well, it's not important. You shouldn't. You don't. You do this to be with us, or whatever it is. And so they're not thinking of love. They're thinking of, that's the way it is. That's how it should go. Okay. That's all they're thinking. They're not thinking anything about love or anything. And if they get angry and annoyed, some of them, they might act boastful and proud to to hurt you or find other ways of taking it out on you.
Okay.
So
So
they're not
basically,
thinking of love, they're just thinking of, well, probably their own issues and their own hurt feelings. So they turn around and take it out on you, like reverse psychology.
oh, I see. So basically, some people might be aware of what love looks like and what it means, but they
Many
just
of them know. I don't think.
okay. That's what I think, Serena. I think many people don't really know what love is, because if we knew what love is, then we'd be able to sort of like get to understand it better. And looking at podcasts just before hours, we start to record ours. And one of the topics that they touched on was love in a different way. One of the persons on the podcast said that a man or a human being is a sum total of his experiences. And I believe
Okay.
that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And they were talking about Jamaica or Caribbean families or parents and grandparents that you know the
Well,
history of
yeah. Uh-huh.
we know the history of slavery and all of that. And they were
Yeah.
saying that there was no love shown. And I thought, oh my word, really
Yeah,
want to be
yeah,
speaking about
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And they were explaining the reason. They said, and they're trying to change all of that in Jamaica, because they find that because of that lack of love, many people do things that,
You
is not.
find a lot of anger and violence. Domestic
Yes,
violence is a problem. And it's
yes,
not just in the Caribbean, you find it worldwide,
yes.
but you find in the Caribbean there is a problem with domestic violence.
And also, one of the things that also came up from that podcast as well is that our experiences, our grandparents and our parents, that those experiences we've actually inherited it. And it sort of like detaches us from our emotions, and you weren't brought up where that you were able to feel and you said express how you felt. If you felt a certain way, and we've shared many sort of like stories in the past when I was a child and yourself, where you weren't allowed to express yourself. If you didn't feel good about what someone said, you had to keep your mouth shut or you'll get a swift, you know what. So they were talking that that's where love is lacking, and people are not able to express, especially men in the Caribbean and other parts of the world. But we are focusing right now in the Caribbean because that's where our families and loved ones are from. Most of them, they're saying, especially men, weren't able to express themselves, and they find that, and because of that, is that they're on their behavior. They don't account for their behavior. They're not responsible for things that they're doing. When they do something wrong, there's no sorry. There's no oh, I didn't meant to do it, or any sort of remorse. It's a detachment.
Well, there was a video that went around. I think it went viral. There was a Jamaican. He was in this case. He went to, I think it was Mexico, and then you know that even though when you go to other countries, even if it's a Caribbean country or an African country, it's all underneath the old colonial system.
Yes.
This old colonial setup, yeah? Call it what name you want to call it now, but that's how it is, right? And so they didn't allow him in, and they said something about Jamaican, you have to go home, yeah?
Right.
So being racist or what have you, even if they themselves are whatever they are, but they're still it's a white system set up, and that's how it is. And so, and if you are a black person from the Caribbean or Africa or somewhere, they see you as they see you as lacking funds and not having economic funds in order to enter countries or what have you, and all of that. It's to do with economics, yeah, and how we are branded because of the history, yeah. And so he got so angry, he broke sinting and get stick going after people like he's gonna stab them up and kill them and carry on with his madness and carry on all that. All of that anger is just all pent up anger. Now everyone's looking at you, oh, that's how Jamaican carry on. You know how some people stay.
Yeah.
That's how Jamaican carry on. The reality,
stereotypical view.
Yeah. The reality is all of that is all hurt and unresolved anger and hurt.
I tell you, that's
go
good
back
point.
and dealt with that hurt and anger, he wouldn't be acting like that. And he'd have
Yes.
a way, he will have developed a way of expressing his thoughts and feelings and thinking of ways to resolve at the minute on his feet.
Excellent. And Zarina, I want to add to that. I mean, as you were speaking, things come in my mind as usual. And I'm thinking of that a line in one of Tina Turner's song. I don't know if you know this line. what love's got to do with it. What does love got to do with it?
What's
You know,
love got
as
to
you're talking,
do
love
with it?
has a lot to do with it, because you know what? I could talk about my experience as a child, and even when I was watching that
I would
podcast,
just call that kindness if people
it
feel
touches,
overwhelmed with the word love.
yeah,
Kindness.
it touched me, that podcast I was listening to and watching on YouTube earlier on before we started to speak, because I grew up where there was no expression of love in my family. I have to be very honest. So I never saw or heard, I never heard any members of my family when I was a young person growing up saying, I love you to us as children, as anyone, as my cousins. I never heard, oh, I love you. I never saw people hugging. It was
Yeah,
never
that yeah.
demonstrated. So I
Yeah.
grew up in actually taking on the same thing, and I took on board the same thing. So I'm guilty, so called,
Yeah,
sorry,
but
inverted comma.
we're born into that culture.
Yes,
And
where
even because our parents don't love us, but we don't understand it that way because we were born in England and the West,
exactly.
and they were born in the Caribbean. In your case, you
I
were
grew
born
up
in the Caribbean,
and
but
I
you
grew up
grew
there.
up in England. And so
Yes.
now you're experiencing both things.
So I
Culturally.
must say, I find it very difficult to say. I don't know about yourself, but I have to be very honest and truthful. I find it very difficult to say to my daughters or anyone, to be honest with you, I love you, or even hug quite readily. And it's something that I have to
Yeah,
train
we feel
myself.
uncomfortable with it because,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
because
was
I was,
never
yeah.
shown to me. It was never said to me, and that's one of the things that came up in that podcast. They were saying that their parents never heard anyone saying "I love you," never got a hug from their parents or grandparents, so that it was passed on. But of course, the younger generation are no longer, they are now sort of like taking that on board and
Mm-hmm.
embracing these things, saying "I love you." I know the young generation hug a lot and all of that and embrace.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was listening, I think, you know what?
And
Yes,
it relieves stress because a
it
lot of
does.
animosity will be released in that hug and kind words.
I
They
see,
might
Serena.
agree or disagree, but a lot of that animosity and stress is released
You
at that
know,
point.
love is a doing word, it's an action word. So for me, growing up as well, what I saw, because we never heard this word, these terms, I love you, got an embrace from our families. I mean, many of us, I'm one of those people, I'm one of the generation that really didn't get that. That we did not pass it on to our children, and it's sort of like it's affecting relationships with our children, with our families, and with others. And I have to say, if you saw someone crying, when I was very young and you saw someone crying, that person was seen as weak. I have to say
Yeah.
that. So even I can remember, when I was very young, I would say maybe 3 or 4, I used to cry a lot.
Mm.
Everything, I was a crier baby, and that's what I was named. You are such a crier baby. And I saw that the aunt that was looking after us, she actually took a lot of joy seeing me cry. I mean, when I realized that she was
Mm.
actually, it was like a gratification thing with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I said to her, you are not going to see me cry another day. And do you know what, Serena? I
Mm.
never did.
Mm.
And I was explaining to my youngest daughter that story. She was, Mom, that's why you don't show that much emotion or show, she's very, very real. And I said, that's why. I said,
Mm.
because when I was very young, I used to cry a lot. And my aunt and her, my cousins, they took a lot of pleasure, that's the word, of seeing me cry, teasing me, yeah, cry, baby, whatever it is. You think
That's
you're
it.
going to,
And they
you know,
call it what is it in America? I think they call it the Battle of the Wills.
all right, what does that mean? What
The
do they mean
bottom,
by that?
like for example, you put each other, their children or young people, then they're
Mm.
normally teenagers, they put each other down, and the person to cry first loses.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So I grew up thinking,
That's
it
slavery.
is. I grew up thinking crying is a sign of weakness. No
Yeah.
one's going to see me cry because that means I'm weak. So I grew up, and
And
unfortunately,
not only
to this
that,
day,
some people take it out on you
they
further.
take advantage
More.
of you if you are crying. And could you imagine men, boys, and men? Because that's what the podcast was saying. A lot of boys, we know parents are saying that dads will say, Sabrina, you got to be a man. Stop crying. What do you think you are? Some little child or a baby? So even
Mm.
boys and men have even a
Mm.
more, so like a lot to talk about where that is concerned. But even as a female, me crying was seen as a sign of weakness, a sign that
Another
I
thing
could,
is that, you're trying to have your own way,
your
then
own
you
way or
don't get
whatever.
nothing at all then.
So I grew up where I shut down where crying and actually expressing my emotions was concerned. And only until I have children, even my two oldest children, I have to say they lost out on that. But I'm trying, you know, my youngest daughter said, Mom, you got to do more, you got to try more. It's something I have to retrain my mind. I know it's a mind thing. And all I have to do is make that decision in my mind and start doing it. Saying it, but the thing is, was Rena, not only do you have to say it, but you have to show it. Another reason why I think I wasn't a loving person and demonstrating that is that what I saw is when people were saying things, they didn't mean it as a child growing up in Guyana. So I thought, these people are just talking nonsense, they're not following through. So for me, I have to see, I'm a person, you know, the different types of love you're talking about is different types of love, agape love, erotic love, and all this love and all of that. But my love language is action. I don't know what your love language is, Serena.
Well, the fact is, some people, they'll turn around and be nice and sweet to you to get the thing they want. Then afterwards they'll be tough on you, I'll take it out on you. If not, if the good one is when they walk away and leave you. The other one is they can either make fun of you or be violent or take it out on you.
Yeah.
Unresolved. That is unresolved. Pent-up anger.
Yeah.
And you find that a lot in children, and where are they getting it from? It's not because they're just so evil and bad. It's a society
they experience where they grew up, how they grew up, the environment they grew up.
Those kids are getting that from.
You're a product of your environment, whether you like it or not. It's up to you to actually change that as you get older and you understand and have more maturity and wisdom. But as I was saying, I mean, I saw people in my family member in Guyana, I have to be very clear, saying nice things in public, behind closed doors, doing bad, wicked things. So I thought, you know, and I have a mistrust of people. I'm being honest with you. If I don't see you doing the right thing, you can tell me.
Question.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I question it until I see it. You can tell me from till now until tomorrow or next year. Oh, Natasha, this is what I do. No, Natasha, if I don't see you doing that thing that you're telling me you're doing, it doesn't make no difference to me. What I learned to do now as a mature adult is talk with myself. When I was younger, I say, yeah, I want to see you do it. You know, I
slap, right. You know? Yeah, that's it. Because a child will just talk openly. But as an adult, you think more. But the fact is, if you don't trust them, do you think that, oh, like some people, they need to borrow the money, they need something, they need this, and say, well, you're selfish, you didn't give it to me, but when you need it, you don't get it. So becoming that bumping and stupid, you know, I get it. And because of that, they say I'm hard and tough and what have you, but you go to them, I'm not saying all of them.
Yeah.
But you know who they are.
Yes.
And you go to them, especially in the Caribbean, and they say, but they don't have that. And then if not, some of them can turn on you. So you find myself, I sit down and keep myself to myself.
That is good, really. It reminded me, all my childhood is coming back because I had a distrust of adults, not children, adults. You just said something there. I were there, adults making promises to us, telling us, oh, we'll be able to do this, go there, or whatever. And then when the time came, you know, when you go to oh, can we? You did say we can go this or we could. Well, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. You know, or whatever it is. And I developed a distrust of adults, and that went into my adulthood. And I'm sort of like slowly trying to work that out in a good way, getting healing about it, because I don't trust. It's adults, you know, not children, you know. It's adults because of my personal experiences growing up as a child in Guyana.
The reason why I think our parents didn't say much was because of how they grew up.
Of course.
And another thing is, if you don't naturally sit, like you were telling me some time ago, you and your daughter would sit down and talk about current affairs. At another time, you some time ago, you sat down telling me, oh, when we have any financial issues or things to sort out, we'd make a meeting, have dinner, and then sit down and take out the notepad and talk all the way through it. Those days, you never. It's just they shout on it. Don't use all the water and electricity, or they get done, or you get beaten, or you get punished, or they make a big old thing. Some families had domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
So some of those families, it would be probably one of the parents being violent to everyone else and no solution.
I tell you what's really, that's a good point. Another thing I'd like to share about you just saying that you're just bringing up childhood memories. I can remember feeling very silly, but feeling so proud that I never saw my parents arguing in public or arguing
Oh
at
yeah, many
all.
of us think that, oh, that's good.
I thought it was great. That was a lie from the devil. It is good to see your parents having disagreements, sitting down, resolving it, having
Solving
a
it.
cuddle, kissing, and the children need to see that because we never saw that. So I thought, great, my parents are great.
It's just everything. Everyone is worried and in fear of the man.
But
now,
I tell
in
you
some
what,
families, they'd be in fear of violence or the
yes,
man leaving the home.
yes. In my
And so
mom's
everything is
case,
hush, hush, quiet, quiet, and
that's
nothing
it.
resolved. That's how
Nothing
it goes.
resolved.
That's how it goes.
In terms of my
Sorry to
mom,
go
in
going.
terms of my mom, whatever my dad said, that was it.
Yeah, that's
There was
it.
no argument, no discussion.
No.
So that's how we grew up. When we came to England, that's what we saw. And I thought that was great. So basically, I never realized that you have disagreements, you have to try and resolve it. So it was like I never
So there's
learned those skills.
no openness, so you don't see how life
That's it.
moves on to resolve to what have you. Everything is what daddy say or what have you, fine and good, but you don't see any resolve.
None of that.
So if there is any problem, you find yourself, and when you notice this at school, when you see the white girl talking openly about stuff we'd never talk about, less openly, yeah, and they're thinking of this and that way and different ways of thinking or doing things, whereas I'm thinking one way, that is that isn't that, finish. And they're thinking, of course they think something wrong with you,
exactly.
because you're not free and open and used to talking about things.
Exactly. That's a very good point, because I experienced that when I came to England, myself and my siblings. Another thing as well, when they were talking about the things they would do at home, I used to just sit there quiet thinking to myself, I do that to my mom or my dad, Megan.
Yeah, they talk about stuff. I would say that, yeah, you try that, you're gonna get beaten and this, that, and the other. And so you grow up with a type of fear, and you don't express your thoughts and feelings. So when you go out, you don't know how to express your thoughts and feelings properly. In my case, because I was a slower learner, and I won't even just say slow learner, I was slower in certain areas, and then it affects your cognitive function when you want to express yourself or find a way to problem solve. You don't know how to problem solve probably because you've never problem solved, and then now it's me with me stupid comparing myself to the other girls, not realizing that my background's totally different from theirs. There was a podcast, his name's Frank Clean, spelled with PH, Frank Clean, right? And it's a K, by the way, not a C. Yeah, Frank Clean. And he's I think he's Nigerian, and he was talking about the effect of children growing up in the African culture, and the effect on he's talking about corporal punishment. Corporal punishment, it means fear and not openly expressing yourself, and he reckons that has an effect on your cognitive function, so that you don't problem solve or think or succeed in the same way. For example, you'd memorize thing off by heart like they do in Sudan, or even in Caribbean, but not sit down and think how to problem solve.
Excellent. I tell you what, Zarina, the first time I actually saw love playing out in a family is when I went to Sudan. I mean, I really thank God for that experience. 5 years in Sudan, where I was placed in a family on a regular basis on Fridays. You know the family. We won't mention the family, but on the podcast. But I saw love, resolution from problems being played out, and I was in a state of shock. And I think God sent me into that family. I know that for me to see, because I'd never in all of my family, all I saw it was shouting, fighting, not resolving, getting angry, not speaking. That's how I grew up. Shouting, arguing, not speaking to each other for months, years, nothing resolved, and not discussing any issues. Shut up and get on with it, etc., etc. When I went to Sudan, I can remember the first time I experienced that, I was in a state of shock that, my whole system, I could tell there was something was happening in me. This family, two members of this family were in a serious argument. When I say serious, I couldn't understand what they were saying, but you know, when two people are arguing, you don't have to understand the actual native language. You know, by body language, tone of voice, pitch of voice, it's an argument, you know. And in the morning, they were arguing, really angry with each other. By the time I used to be there like the entire day from the morning to the evening. This happening in the morning. By afternoon, I saw a group of family members sitting together. I didn't know what they were discussing because, as I said, it's Arabic. I didn't understand. But after I asked questions, I was told that when you saw that group sitting down, they were discussing the argument and trying to resolve it. By the time it was tea time, those two people were laughing, drinking tea together, giving each other a cuddle and singing and joking. And I said, oh my gosh.
I remember this thing when I was in Tunisia.
Zarina, I never experienced that growing up in my family in Guyana or my family in England. I never experienced it. So, and I was 50 then. Would you believe it? All those years, I actually never saw it played out. And I sat there and I saw it on a regular basis because I used to be at that family every week for the entire day. And I thought, God, you're teaching me something, isn't it? And I had to go back to Africa. I mean, you know, that's where our ancestors came from. To learn the dynamics of relationship, how to resolve what love is and how to resolve disputes. And in one day, argument morning, by time night, everybody back to normal.
Laughing and all the rest, and they do hug each other,
and they
do sit down. When you notice, I saw this in Tunisia, I saw it in Sudan. The family come together and have a discussion.
Sorry, what I noticed as well, even if it's not resolved in that day, when I went back the following week, I used to be there on a weekly basis every Friday. It's like I'll be looking just to see whether these two people are okay. And boy, if I did not see them the week before having a big argument, I would have never known that. Because when you saw them the following week, it's like they're sitting down, laughing, drinking tea in the kitchen, cooking together. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is how love is. This is how you resolve relationship issues. And I never saw that. But you know what? It's something I'm still learning. I have to say, I'm still on a journey where that is concerned. And that podcast sort of like it spoke to me. I saw earlier on today on YouTube. It spoke to me saying that you still have a journey. You still need to start developing and putting into action these things that you never saw as a child or even as an adult growing up. So when I knew we were going to be discussing these issues today, I thought, you know what, I have to share these things with you. And I know you would relate to it because you've got parents from the Caribbean as well, and you probably have similar experiences as well. So love has a lot to do with it. In Tina Turner's question, what does love got to do with it? It has a lot to do with it, love, because if you love someone, you have to be kind, you have to be patient.
Well, I mean, it's about tolerance. At first, it's about accepting that others are different or whatever, think differently. And being tolerant and understanding that is your family member or that is your friend and that you can come back together. Not everything broken up and it never resolves. You can come back together and sit down, talk about it, resolve it, or sometimes you just agree to disagree and move on and get on with something else. And leave that area.
And most families, Serena, they agree to disagree. So, I mean, I have to say, in my family, that never happened. That wasn't happening. There was no agreement.
Well, I think that's where, we're talking about the Caribbean people.
Yeah.
In slavery, there was no agreement or disagreement. It's do that or you're dead.
That's it.
And so all of that is passed down to us, not because we're somehow broken people. It's just that we had a part of our history where we experienced this harshness, whereby it's nothing. It's to do with that needs doing, do it. Shut up, don't express emotion.
That's it.
Succeed, get on. No way to resolve marital issue or what have you, because it's not demonstrated. Because you don't.
I'm telling you, Serena,
because the emotion is so much pent up anger and all that lot. The person just the man will get angry with you and kill you. And in some cases,
they did
get angry and kill the woman
I
Because
am
they're
telling you,
so
Serena,
angry, so they just turn around and box the woman one time in dead.
I never saw my parents kiss when I was in England,
Mm.
cuddle, say a kind word to each other. I'm telling you, maybe they said it in private, I don't know. But let's say in public where we could hear, the children could hear. I never saw it, I
No.
never heard it. So I grew up, and in Guyana was no different. So I must say it's taken me a longer time, but you know what? I decided to be intentional where that is concerned. You know, with me, I am a sort of like a action. You buy me something, maybe you take me for dinner, you sort of like buy me a nice present. I mean, it's not all about buying, but make me a cup of tea. Let's just make it real now. Make mom a cup of tea. That is it. That is my love language. But you know, it's a balance. It's not just actions. Words are important, but it's nice to follow through with actions as well. So when I was thinking about today, I'm thinking I have a lot to work on still. I don't know about you,
Mm.
Serena. What do you think?
Well, yeah, because you feel uncomfortable to embrace the other person,
Yeah.
like as if you feel uncomfortable, like you're encroaching in their space, like as if you still have memories being triggered of them
Mhm.
hitting you because they're bigger than you or what have you. There's all sorts of stuff going on in your head when you.
Oh yes.
And,
It
and the
depends.
thing is, and I'm
Mm.
sure if I'm having those thoughts, I'm sure other people must be having it. I don't think I'm the only one that'd be having those thoughts.
Oh no. I mean, and these were like dysfunctional relationships. So I'm trying to make my relationships functional, you know, where you can function, you know, with people in a loving way. It takes work, Serena. I'm telling you, Serena, this takes work. This is not easy for me anyway.
Well, yeah, because you grow up in a place where you don't talk about that. It's not
Exactly.
discussed.
You know,
And anyway, even if you did discuss it, they'd probably get angry because they're unresolved and no one
yeah.
got any solution to resolve with.
What are you talking about? One of the guests on the
Or say,
podcast
oh,
I've
you just
watched.
want to have your own way. You
Yeah,
want the world to go how you want. I don't know. The world must conform to your desires, or
you know,
they
that's a
think
good
that you
point.
just having your own way or something, or
What I'm
manipulating
happy
others.
about, what I'm happy about, Zareen, is that the younger generation, you know, they're not gonna put up with that, you know, just not accepting you not saying those words, I love you, I'm proud of you, whatever, or giving a physical expression of love. Because what was happening, one of the guests on the podcast I was looking at said because she's from Ghana, her ancestry is from Ghana. She actually was born in Ghana. She's now living in Jamaica. She was saying that if you was to say to an older person, a Ghanaian, that, oh, the way you said that made me feel such and such, they would look at her like, are you crazy? And she was speaking the Ghanaian accent and all that. It was making me laugh. But she was being serious. You crazy? Did you die from it? And she's thinking they're saying, if you didn't die from it, it didn't affect you. She's going, I don't have to die from something for it not to affect my mind, my emotions, my psychological development. But I think once we as human beings understand the meaning of the word love and all the sort of like connotations around it, we'll be able to start to heal, I think, and embrace love better and have better relationships. What do you think? I mean,
Can I say that even though, yes, I do understand what the word love means, but the fact is, many people find that overwhelming. They find it to be too extreme.
mm-hmm.
Kindness is easier for me to accept and cope with. Why? Because of the way I understand the meaning of the words.
That kindness is a part of love,
It
but
is a part of love, yeah, but it's
yeah.
less overwhelming.
Yeah. So are
Because
you saying
every
that the
day,
word love is overwhelming, but if you broke it down into those
parts, yeah.
tenets, parts?
So the way I think, the way I don't know if it's just myself,
Okay.
other people think and feel the same thing. When you talk about kindness, tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, giving space or freedom to disagree or agree,
Mm-hmm.
coming back to talk about things later, or leaving or agreeing to disagree sometimes, what have you, I can cope with that better than the word love. And even
Okay.
though people might disagree with me, say, oh, I should be able to cope with the word love and da for maybe religious reasons or whatever their beliefs are, the fact is, I find it easier when you speak about kindness,
Yes.
acceptance, tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
using tact to agree and disagree. When you say tact, I found that word to be big and overwhelming too. saying things in an acceptable, disagreeing in an acceptable way.
Yeah.
Or expressing my thoughts, even if they're negative, in an acceptable way.
Yes.
Or using positive language to describe the things I disagree with. Yeah.
I see what you mean. It will
Because
make
then
sense to people.
I can cope, I
Yeah,
can
more.
understand easier, more easily, and cope more without feeling overwhelmed that I must live up to a standard of religious love. I
The
don't.
thing is, love is not supposed to be religious. Love is something that human beings have to actually, well, to have good relationships with each other. And remember, love is the overarching word, Zarina. But
Yeah.
and then tenets of it are patience, kindness,
Kindness,
good, and all of
tolerance.
these things. It's not a
Yeah.
religious thing. It's if we don't have it.
It isn't because we don't have it. Many of us, it's because we're not aware of it or have not experienced it.
That's it.
That's what's really going on. Like some people already say, I'll say evil and wicked because you feel bad. Well, the reality is, they might feel bad about something or disagree with it, not because they don't have love. It's just that they disagree with that thing or don't want to do that thing, or that's where tolerance comes in.
I tell you what, I agree with not some people are aware of it, but some people just don't want to exercise it because, to be honest with you, kindness, people demonstrate that a lot. People demonstrate, I have people who demonstrate kindness to me all the time. And
Yeah,
that is a part of love. That's an offspring
yeah.
of love.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is sometimes we don't use it more, or sometimes people refuse to use. Some people are not aware of it. They're thinking, "Oh, what's love? What's love?" Like,
And let's face it, a lot of us have a lot of hurt feelings.
Yeah, exactly,
If
exactly.
we've got pent up hurt feelings, we're going to act the same age as when it happened. So, for example, if it happened when you were 4, you're going to basically act like a 4-year-old. Just because you might not stomp and cry like a 4-year-old, but the decisions you make or the things you do or your responses or actions, what have you, is going to be driven by the 4-year-old feeling or thoughts, what's driving all of that. And a lot of that, when you're dealing on this subject, is to do with the formative years when you're powerless growing up. If the people talk to you harshly, you're going to respond harshly.
Well, that's it.
If
Yeah.
they disagree with you without even caring about your thought, emotional, respect, or tactfully, you're going to have difficulty using tact because you're not aware of tact, simply because you never experienced any from anyone. Or
You know what, Rena? Those are very good points, but we have to obviously relearn some of the old things that we learned in the past.
Yeah,
Because
you relearn it, and
these
it
are
may take
tools.
time.
As I said, I'm still on the journey. As I said to you earlier on, I am
Mm.
still on a journey. It'll take a while, but the fact is, once you acknowledge it, recognize that these things are important. Kindness, patience, tolerance, all of the acceptance, whatever. Because
And some people, they might think that you don't deserve it. And the only reason they're displaying that or having those thoughts and feelings is because of their own issues.
Of course. And
Some
the thing is,
people
Arena,
do have thoughts and feelings and behavior that way. And if you ever look back in their past, you get a surprise. Why? There's a lot of it's to do with once you resolve stuff, you find yourself able to express love and kindness and all friendliness and tolerance and tact, and you'll be more aware because your bandwidth is freed up so that you can be, I need to be aware of that, be more tactful, express that this way, do that, don't do that better because you've got more bandwidth available. If it's all folded up or entangled in anger and negativity and hurt, a lot of it, let's face it, past hurt, then you're not going to see nothing or notice and all want to care less about anything. You just want to solve your problem.
And another point from off of that is that if you don't love/value like yourself, how can you have good relationships with others if you don't value
because
yourself?
if they're beating themselves up, what do you think? They're going to batter you as well.
So when you expect people to sort of like treat you in a different way, in a better way, in a loving way, or a way where you feel appreciated, then I start to question, how come you can't do this? Then the ultimate answer is maybe because you don't know what it is, you don't know how to show it, you
Or
want
they
taught it.
themselves are dealing with hurt.
or whatever.
They never got no love and kindness. So why should you? What's important about you? Don't get it. Now, some people might say that or think that. Other people might not. They might just feel that, well, you expecting this, that, and the other. You shouldn't get that. You don't deserve it. Or, well, you put up with that then. And the reality is different. First, we're all different. Next thing is, if they're thinking and feeling that, it might be good to question, why are they responding that way? Probably because that is their experience. They're not even aware of it. And even if they were aware of it, well, you shouldn't get that. Why? Because they never got it.
But you know what, Serena, how could we push past that? And obviously, if we were thinking of having like help,
intend to talk to and access, as in stand in the life force himself.
One of the things that I was going to say as well is that God is love. And if you sort of like stay in his presence, as you were saying, he will give you all the support, all the information and the ways. He will walk you through it. Because, I mean, of course, we have all of these mentoring and coaching individuals. I'm not sure whether they can do everything. I don't think they can, not sure. I actually started my journey where that was concerned, I have to say it, at a tender age. I was just approaching my 40th birthday. Would you believe it? When I tell my daughters, just laugh. They're thinking, that age, that's a bit old, isn't it? But you know what? It's better late than never, as one of the proverbs say.
If you're coming from a culture where that is not discussed or
of course,
nor expressed, then you wouldn't.
I tell you what, I mean, I can remember coming up to my 40th birthday, knowing and feeling that I have this sense of failure, unhappiness, misery. I mean, you just name all the negativity. They were all overwhelming me. Coming up, it was like a week coming up to my 40th birthday. And at the time, I didn't know what was going on. All I know is my life was miserable and I need to change. That's what I can remember thinking every day. I was actually in Trinidad. I was in 3 months in Trinidad, in the Caribbean, and having this feeling and thinking, God, how could I feel like this in such a lovely country? Warm, nice beaches, all these loving people around me, yet I'm feeling miserable, feeling like I just didn't enjoy my life. And then I having these thoughts, and then one day it overwhelmed me that one day I was on my own, I can remember, in the rented house in Trinidad, one of the parts of the States. And I can remember shouting out to God, God, is this what you made us to just live? Just live life, just die and don't enjoy ourselves. I shouted out that to him. Because I grew up in the church. I grew up as a Christian, so I knew a little bit about God. I did believe in God at that time, but I wasn't practicing. So I shouted out, is that it? We just born, we live and we die, is that it? Why are we here on this earth? I shouted it out to God. And I tell you, Serena, I just heard this quiet voice. Now I've got your attention. It was an encounter. And I call it a love encounter. And from that day, and I was 5 days before my 40th. And you know, they say 40 years is like it's another generation of transition in your life, you know, when you're 30, 40, 50. And from the age of 40 to now, it's been a journey. A love journey, I think. I call it a love journey. I'm still learning. I'm still practicing and these things, and I'm learning new things. The thing is, really, you have to have an open mind. That's another thing as well, so that you can get new information, because even anyone can actually help you with this. In terms of, even my youngest daughter helps me a lot. So there's no age limit there. A child can help you, a little child, even an animal, nature can help you on that love journey. So I thank God that I had that encounter. God can use anything. If God used a donkey, as it said in scriptures, it can use anyone. So I call that a love encounter. I was just approaching my 40th, and it's been a journey since then. I'm loving the journey. I am happy. I'm seeing myself, Zarina, evolving day, monthly, yearly, and I'm loving the person I'm becoming. So I think we need to just sort of like just try and understand, and us as teachers as well, Zarina, we have a platform. I don't know about yourself, but I teach 5 days a week, and I have access to adults. I teach adults, so these conversations come up indirectly. Love conversations, kindness conversations, and all of that, sharing ideas and all of that. And I think that God has placed me in a platform on yourself so we can actually share, explain, just be. We're going to just demonstrate this thing. It's not just a talk thing. People, when they ask us things, how can you help us? We got to be kind. As a teacher, patience. These are all love things. Serena, my patience, I tell you, is worked through students, and my daughters have to say that. I am telling you, I am learning some patience through being a teacher. What about yourself?
Well, yeah, you patience, repeat again, find another way to, like some people, you ask them now, they get angry with you. You ask them something and then they get angry as if I should have understood it the first time, and then and the time they took to get angry and get at you, they could have just used different words, different vocabulary, and explained the same thing.
Yeah,
Do you
and
see?
that's our job, or our is to help, is to support. Because I have students, some students who will get angry. Human beings, we're human beings. It's part of our nature to get angry. And I would either put them in a breakout room and just speak to them, or say, "Can I speak to you after the session?" And that's where I think the love thing comes out. I speak to them in a kind way, polite. I explain things better, and I give them time. And when they see that I'm taking the time out to actually help and support them, I'm seeing the changes slowly but surely. So love is acting out. It is something that you have to do every day, and just be present. To be present in the moment, supporting people, supporting family members, whoever it is. We are all, I think, we're all on the love journey. We are all
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
love
yeah,
journey.
yeah.
I'm telling
About
you, what it might be
talking
different. It looks different to
more
you, to me.
openly, and in talking openly
Yeah,
about thoughts and feelings in an acceptable way, always being mindful of uh, and another thing we need to learn is how, even though we are learning how to express ourselves in an acceptable way and being kind, but also how to respond when you get a negative response.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people impatient, angry, and inconsiderate, and they're only looking out for whatever it is they want. Yeah. How we need to learn, how can we respond to that? What do we do? What do we say in those circumstances? Because if you think the traditional way would be to fight them, cuss them down, argue, carry on, that's not gonna get, you're only gonna have, because the person didn't care and they're not gonna care. So what do we do so that they become aware of our needs and feelings, and that there's a better way to express or interact? How can you do so? Or maybe leave it alone, or maybe point it out to them in a way that they can cope with, or
I was
that
just
they
about to say,
how can we do that? We need to learn that. I'm
that's an
learning.
excellent point, because I mean, what I do with my daughters, we have conversations, and where you have to listen attentively, intentionally. You have to listen and hear what they're saying, because if you give them the time, so most of the time we're always talking or want to react. What I find myself doing, because I'm getting older and wise and more mature, I tend to listen a bit more. Once you're listening to someone, you can hear their hearts. And that's what gets me, because I hear people's heart and I think, come on, Natasha, listen to that person. Ask them questions to get to the exact information or what it is they're trying to say. That's where patience come in. So you're actually applying all of those things, the patience, the tolerance, the listening skills, and all of that. And slowly but surely, you start to get better at understanding people and appreciating others. I'm telling you, it's a journey. It is a journey, Serena. It's not going to be overnight. Some people get it quicker, depending on your environment and all of that. But you know what? I'm so happy, Serena, that I'm refocusing even today, refocusing on this love thing today, the thing that you need to do to bring yourself together with others. It's not just family members, anyone, human being, any individuals around us. So I'm still on that journey, and I'm very happy that I've come a long way, because I'm talking about it before. Don't even bother to talk to me about this thing, this love thing, because I don't want to hear about it. So talking about it is telling me, it's enough evidence that you have come a long way. I'm gonna say you're me, myself, Natasha. So Serena, we've come to the end of today's episode, and my word, what a love episode. So I'm sure you've got some benefit from this. I know I have, as usual.
Yeah. Very, very insightful, very deep, and very
Definitely.
truthful. And it's a journey. We're learning how to be these things or access these states without being overwhelmed or getting hurt and angry or reacting the wrong way, or learning how to still understand that, yes, there might be things that we don't like and we don't want, but how to deal with it in a different way.
We have to be the catalyst for positive change. And I'm happy that I think both of us are catalysts for positive change. So we come to the end. So thank you again for making me feel good about today, this love journey. I'm so happy that I'm actually sharing this love journey with you as well, Serena. So
yeah, it's we're learning.
We'll speak again. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.